Hello, good evening, and Jai Hind. I am
Jen,
Major Muhammad Ali Shah. I have the
glad to meet
proud
you.
privilege and honor to be in conversation with a very, very illustrious former army officer, a former gunner, someone who I have personally grown up admiring, not just his art, not just his painting, but as a person, as a human being. Someone who is a very, very dear and a very, very close family friend, of course, and who I have seen right from the time I was a little baby. And my father and Colonel Arul Raj have served together in 185 Light Regiment Camel Pack. Now 1851, it's known as 1851 Light Regiment. And if you go to Rashtrapati Bhavan, you go to Siachen Glacier, you go in any prominent military establishment, you go to USA of India, you go anywhere, you will find big paintings of Colonel Arul Raj. Why only go there? Why only go to the big establishments? You go anywhere. You go. I'm saying even in my own house, right here, we have Colonel Arul Raj painting right here. I'm watching it, and I have taken it on the phone because I couldn't put that picture over here. So I've got it on my phone right now, and I would like to show you, sir. Remember this picture?
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
So I that's why I got it. So there are so many. In fact, Kannada's paintings are all over, and not just in India, but globally. It's there all over. And in fact, when you talk about military drawings, military painting, only one word, only one name comes to your mind. That is Colonel Arul Raj, who is a brand in painting. Let's welcome him. Sir, Jai Hind, and thank you very much for taking your time, sir.
Thank you so much, Ali. Wonderful talking to you.
Thank you very much, sir. So let's start about your journey. I'm aware that you came from a very humble background in Tamil Nadu, and you joined the army, and your corps commander one day when you were a young captain said that your painting should be displayed in the military exhibitions. And in 1974 came a turning point, and we know this much about you, and we know we have seen the name Niche Bhape, Arul Raj written over there. And so tell us more about your journey, how it all began and how it started, sir.
Well, I can start. I was painting in NDA. We had an art club there, IMA also. But actually, all this painting were basically nothing much really to do with the army. The tradition of military art itself wasn't very much there. So when the 71 war started, it was the CEO was a colonel called Colonel Darwin. He sent a message to me that the GOC wanted you to do a sketch. Probably it was Colonel Darwin's initiative, but he mentioned that the GOC wanted it. So a few days after the war, I think the war ended somewhere 16th or 14th or 15th, I don't know where. But 3 days later, I was there on the post, and the wreckage was lying around. I remember one tent which was burnt out completely, and a lot of buildings were down also. So on the post, I went up and sketched the basic structure of the thing because there were no men around that point of time. There were a few Jawans floating around, and then build up the battle on the basis of the terrain I saw, and that's my first painting. And be surprised it was done on a tarpaulin actually, because the tarpaulin the vehicles used to cover, and that piece I used to sketch and paint on it. And eventually I did reproduce this painting again on a proper canvas when we went back to our base in Bikaner. That's where we actually were before the war. So that's how this started off.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, and in this 71 when the war happened, and of course, we've got some very good comments coming in, sir. Stay blessed with good health and happiness forever. Okay, thank you very much. And so, sir, in 1969, you were commissioned. And in 2 years service you drew this sketch, and I would say people could connect with your drawing. And I remember in 1991, sir, I was a small child, and my father finished his command of the regiment. And it was in 1990, sorry. in Firozpur, in the Seven Diff Mess, they were huge paintings of yours depicting 71 war and such things, and and that I'll be very very honest. There are some co-mates of mine who say that they joined the army because they were very inspired by Colonel Arul Raj's paintings. That's a fact, sir, and I'm one of
Uh,
them, sir.
Thank
So,
you. That's one wonderful words. And
sir.
true. I mean, some point, appreciate when the artist survives on appreciation. Without encouragement, I can tell you, no artist, even art forms in you're a singer or poet, they all need encouragement. And so, in that sense, I was very lucky, Ali, that the military took a lot of interest in my work. And it started off, but I didn't get that kind of response generally from the units, probably because they felt that, I'm a military guy, what can he paint? Such, they probably prefer a civilian
Hmm.
artist. But then when the quality came, be known, then I was given jobs to do. And so I did do a lot of portraiture, military portraiture, and also military art. And I could have done more, but I've fairly done about uh, to- technically about you'll be surprised. I done about 100 ships for the Navy, but around
Wow.
about 80 paintings for the military army, and maybe a little less, probably 60. And Air Force has just been a dozen or so actually. So from that point of view, um, I would say the easiest thing to do for me is an Air Force painting. It's just the aircraft and the sky and things like that. Then comes the ships. The ships are difficult, not the ship itself, but capturing the terrain, is the seascape. The sea itself is very difficult to paint. So that was a challenge, which again I took it on, and I think I did a fairly good job of it. Then came the military one, which is most difficult. You're depicting humans and war and things like that. And it needs more detailing because you need to know the terrain, need to know the time it took place, the kind of equipment and dress they wore at that period of time. And so all these were I had to dig it out from people, or some people didn't have a reference to it. So somewhere, to my imagination, but most of it was well researched as far as I could do. And I'm proud I did a reasonably good job of it. And so that these are appearing in the book, which is now it was launched a couple of days ago.
Right, sir. Again, a wonderful comment for you by Ms. Daisy Singh Shekhawat. Proud of you, Raj sir. Stay blessed with good health, sir. She written
Oh,
that. Sir. But sir,
that's
I
very
can
nice.
totally relate with what you were saying. You know that your regiment, your or within there's a saying in Hindi, na sir. The घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. So people often, for me as well as a speaker, they think Fauji hai, अरे क्या? But I know as an international TEDx speaker, I've given the highest TEDx talk in the world, so I can go global about it. But अपने लोग हैं तो they think अरे यार ठीक है कोई बात नहीं. Then man हम कर लेंगे. So I know. So that's taken to be taken in the right spirit completely, sir. There's no problem at all. So tell us about who your inspiration as an artist was, sir. Was it Picasso? Was it M.F. Hussain Saab? Who was it? How was it like?
To tell you frankly, the kind of art I do is classical, old traditional art, realism to a point. And realism actually has gone out because when modern art came in, and if you know, what triggered modern art was basically in the mid 19th century, the photograph was discovered, photography. A camera came out in 1840 or 45, the camera was discovered. So people wanted the photograph rather than a painting done, a portrait done of them. So all these portrait artists and others, scenic artists doing scenery and things like that, went out of business. So then came a rebellion that we will do something different than a photograph looks like. So the modern art was born, and then you have realism, surrealism, cubism, and whatnot. So in that period, people like me went out of business. But one particular painting still held on. That is military art. Military art could not be a modern art. You got to be clear as what's happening on the ground. So luckily, I took up this. I'm very sure in India there must be many artists, good as me, better, who really don't have a chance in realism because it's not in demand. And luckily, I knew the military craft, and being an army officer and a veteran, I could handle it better than anybody else.
Sir, sir, you are totally untrained. Like, you are not a trained artist, but yet your work speaks for itself. How important do you think training is for an artist? And had you been a trained artist, do you think you would have been a different artist, sir?
Well, I am training to a point. Yes, it had helped me do many things which I've, later realized if I only had learned, I could have done things in a much faster way. Techniques used, which I didn't learn how to use certain technique, what mixture to be done, in all that. So that yes, sometimes I feel I should have done it, gone some basic training. But then now I'm used to a style. In fact, I went to the College of Art in Delhi, and the professor there told me, "There's no point coming and learning from us because we teach in a different way. You already got into a groove, which is your way of approaching a painting. So it better remain away from us. You can learn the techniques of mixing certain colors and what the technical aspects of the painting. But don't ever learn style we approach, then your approach is different than ours. So that way I'm happy. But yes, a little bit surely it would help if I learned art.
Sir, so what you have said it reminds me exactly of what an interview I was watching of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. So the interview asked him that, sir, actors like Nasiruddin Shah and Om Puri, they went to NSD, they went to FTI, they trained as actors, and they are where they are today.
Yeah.
And you are untrained. How important do you think? Same question was posed to him, and Mr. Bachchan gave the same kind of answer that you have just said, sir. He said, "Yes, I agree. I am untrained, but then probably I would have been a better actor today had I taken training in that, and it would have made a difference." So same thing. I could just resonate with what he had said and what you have said, sir. So let's talk about the recent book which Major General Ian Cardozo has written, Portraits of Valor. The timeless work of, it's and he mentioned in his talk, I had the honor to be the compare for the event, and he mentioned in his talk that it does not have all the paintings by Col Arul Raj, but definitely it is. I have given words to his painting, and as I say, a picture speaks a thousand words. How did the idea about this book, writing this book with Major and Cardozo, come about, sir?
Well, it is actually at the inauguration of the National War Memorial where I contributed quite a lot. And I was there as a special invitee, and there were very few actually, but 100 or so were invited. I don't know the reason why. And Cardozo was there, yeah, for that invite. And so I was meeting people there, some of them ex-chiefs who knew, army chiefs. Then Cardozo came, and then he spoke to me. And that's the point of time. He said, Arul, I want to do a book on you. And so I said, oh, that's wonderful. And so we discussed it. Basically, I sent some pictures to him. But it dawned on us that, it was but doing a book, especially a coffee table book, is expensive. It's also very, very, it's not tedious. Not writing a book is so easy compared to putting up a pictorial book, quality of pictures, the quality of printer, what many, many things involved. So we discussed this, and then I think I realized, and he realized, it's a difficult, job to be done. So then came this, heaven sent opportunity by the CDS, who said that my paintings have to be put together. And the truth is, he was very, very correct. A lot of my paintings have been really gone over the years. If I go and ask them, where's my painting? They said, sir, it's been destroyed or not maintained and put in storerooms and things like that. No, I do feel bad about it. But, in the sense, we don't maintain or look after a painting which is unless it's a very famous name. So the name actually is more important probably than the painting itself, to my mind. And so, well, I hope now they'll look after my work, you know, for future generations.
So when I हिंदी में कहते हैं ना जब दे होश संभाला as a small child, when I first word of what a painter and artist is, the name was Col Arul Raj. I grew up with watching this painting, which you can't see it from here. I wish I could show you, but anyway. And you made a portrait of my father, with his mustache, and he was sitting there. And you gifted him some of your work. So I was like, wow. And so for me, I would associate the word painter or a artist or a person who sketches as Col Arul Raj. Because after that, obviously, niche likha tha Arul Raj for all your. So the as you mentioned, the name sells for us. I perceive Arul Raj to be the biggest painter ever in this world, ever in the history. That's what, as a child, I've grown up with that thought, sir. So, sir,
Well,
let's.
I tell you, I want to button Ali. I've just been lucky. I'm very sure there are many more good guys in India who can do the work I do. But I think I've been taken up a line on military art, which has been never done well in India at all. I'll be quite blunt in saying that the British covered it, or the Western artists, and even the Russians have covered it extensively. I believe even the Chinese too. But unfortunately, in India, after World War, independence, we have not done any quality work. And for reasons I don't know, but I wish uh, these have been preserved. We fought how many wars after independence? 48, 62, 65, 71, Kargil, whatnot. So from that point of view, I'm happy I covered, as General Cardozo said, every battle right up to Op Sindhu. So in that sense, I'm happy. But much more could have been done. That's what I feel.
Sir. So let's talk about the painting we can see in your background, sir. One is a war painting, and other is a portrait, if I am not mistaken, sir.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a bit about the battle painting that we can see behind you, sir?
Could you say again that?
So we
Well, the
see
paint,
two paintings behind you,
yeah,
sir. One is a battle painting right behind you. It's
yeah.
a war painting. Could you tell us a bit about that painting, sir?
Well, this painting is, I think, Hoshia Singh's action in um, Battle of Jalpal. And so I shown him in action, and the Pakistani attacking his post. He won a Paramit Chakra for the action. And I think he was wounded too. And there was the same time, there's a tank in the background, which is not clear here, is where I think Pune Horse was involved. And I think Ketrapal was also in the same area where he got his Paramveer Chakra. So this painting is on one of the PVC paintings. I've done about few of them. And Hosha Singh's action is clearly depicted with a machine gun in hand, taking out a lot of enemy soldiers. That's that.
Sir. And sir, let's talk about, is that the portrait that I see behind you also?
Well, that portrays my mother, which I mentioned
Oh,
in my speech. She
sir,
was
sir, of
my,
course.
yeah, she was my backbone and support. In fact, I wasn't very good in academics, to be very fair to you. So, my parents were worried about that. And but she, quietly encouraged me. I remember even when I was painting quietly without my dad not knowing about it, she'd sit with me quietly and listen to me as I taught, as I painted. So in that sense, she had. But they do was they didn't really want me to get into a steady job and not be an artist. And I think in that sense, I'm happy I joined the army. I had this desire to do military art even before I joined the NDA. So it all worked out, thank God.
Sir. So there's a very dear friend of mine, again from my school, my childhood friend called Abhimanyu Nowar. His father was the vice chief of the Air Force and Air
Okay.
Marshal Nowar. And in '93, Abhimanyu was a very good painter, sketcher, and once he made a portrait of mine and such things. In '93, this is. So that's the time I told him, my father's one of his best friends is Colonel Arul Raj, and he made a very fine posting of my father. a portrait of my father. Since then, it's been a deep desire in my heart that someone should draw a portrait of mine. And Abhimanyu Novar was the first one to draw my portrait. I was so happy with that. So I'm going to send this, and then thereafter, of course, Abhimanyu saw your work and such thing, and he was like, as children, we grew up watching that, sir. So I'm going to be sending this to Abhimanyu. He'll be very, very happy. So let's talk about after when the journey from where Jen Cardozo started writing this book till now. I mean, I'm sure there must have been a lot of messages, calls, references, send this picture, send that picture. How busy was it, sir, at that time?
And you say again, I didn't understand the last one.
Sir, no worries, sir. So sorry, sir, there was bad network at my end. So right from the inception, when Major General Ian Cardozo came with the idea of writing your
Yeah.
book, writing a book with your work, till now, the journey must have been, the author also must have asked you for several photographs, messages, calls, midnight calls. I know it's not easy to write a book. I've seen my father working, burning the midnight oil for nights and months doing that. So, how busy were you attending to the messages and calls, sir?
No, I really didn't, in the sense that, the picture is already done. There was no, except for three, four pictures I painted during the period of the book. Earlier the pictures were there. So Cardozo had these pictures with him. So there were no interaction in the sense that asking me details about it. But I did mention that do call up people, let's take a case of my own regiment 185, where there was one Colonel Kulwinder. I told him you can talk to him. Even we had another officer called Santosh Datta. You can talk to them about the Longewala battle. And Cardozo probably knew more than even probably Kulwinder knew about the battle. He was, well read, knew so many things. So he only asked me one question. I remember: who fired in Longewala? Who are the other regiments who were along with my battery in Longewala at Sadewala, the post there? And then he got again that it was the field regiment along which was firing along with us. And so that's how you could interconnect, and then you could get the details. So there were minor details he found from people. But to me, it really never came back to me because he knew whatever battles I covered were all well-known battles, which he had written also earlier in his own books. So I had no problem there. The problem actually came up in the pictures I had. Some of them were, luckily, I was very fortunate that every picture I painted last 15 years, I got them photographed in high pixelated camera, what they call high resolution camera. And so these pictures were available to me for the book. And the publishers wanted what these pictures are known higher TIFF pictures, TIFF pictures. So the high resolution camera pictures were available and the publishers wanted it. But whenever I gave them some JPG prints, they said, no, we can't accept it. So I had to reprint these things on canvas, the printing process on printing in on canvas. And these were all highly pixelated, not clear at all. And I had to redo them with acrylic paint and get them into shape. So some of the pictures are actually redone for the book because, I didn't have the high quality resolution pictures which publishers want. So, and I did one on Sindhu and a couple of other pictures which I wanted for the book. Nothing else. They're all old pictures.
So on 14 November, your paintings are going to be exhibited by the USI, in fact, for a Heritage Military Festival. Could you tell us a bit about that? Because when USI had asked me also to do the comparing of your exhibition, I was very, very happy. And unfortunately, I would be in Lucknow. I'm going for the ABA Literary Festival as a speaker there. So I started thinking, oh God, what a big loss for me. But could you tell us about this event, sir, that is going to be happening on 14th of November, that where your paintings are going to be exhibited, sir?
Well, I'm supposed to be putting up 80 pictures. That's what I was told at
Wow.
USI. And they have the space. I have not even seen the exhibition hall. Well, I was a little worried whether USI has the space for these kind of painting. And my pictures are quite fairly big, two by three, sorry, 3 by 4 feet. And So from that point of view, I said, well, will it cover? They said, sir, we have the space. So now I'm getting some of them are prints because I don't have all the painting which are original. Some are prints which are getting them printed, and I told them that these pictures are all over India. I can't get them from wherever they are, and some are all in Delhi, and they won't. These people will not give it because they have, various occasions where they have functions and all that, and empty walls will look odd. So finally, I'm printing them on canvas, and I'm going to put them up, because there's no way getting an original work put up on in the exhibition. But it displays my work. That's what.
Right, sir. So, and one more thing before we let you go, sir, let's Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, in fact, the late president of India, he had very high regard for your work, in fact, for your paintings. And in fact, a lot of your paintings were there put up in Rashtrapati Bhavan. So, could you tell us a bit about your association with the late president, sir?
Well, I started off with Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed painting of mine was liked by the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And then they took up a case with the NDC, National Defence Academy. My original painting was done for the National Defence Academy. And then he came to know about it, and so I was called in to get it signed by him in Rashtrapati Bhavan. So as a young officer, I went to him and I gave him a brush. And those days, these felt pens were not available. So with the brush, with oil, he painted, signed his name on it. And so that was the first painting I did. And then as I was on the way out, he said, will you do one for me for the Rashtrapati Bhavan? And that's how it started out, the whole thing. And that one painting itself actually opened the doors for me in life. It's always some event in life which actually, I would probably say, earlier the doors were shut. And now everything started opening up. This guy's done some painting in Rashtrapati Bhavan, he must be good. That's how life is all about.
Sir. Sir, and one last question to you, sir, is pertaining to who we very, very fondly and lovingly call as Maggie Auntie. I did not know her real name until, you will not believe it, until day before yesterday. We all grew up calling her Maggie Auntie. I can hear her laugh in the background. And of course, my childhood friends, Prashant and Karishma, in fact. So I can see your mother's portrait behind. Sir, have you drawn a portrait for Maggie Auntie, for Prashant and Karishma as well?
Yeah, I done. My wife with my son when you were just about not even a year old. And that's all. I never done Prashant again, and he's going to be 50 next month, another few months time. And my daughter, I done. So these are all in my drawing room, and they probably hanging. And
Sir.
so my wife, my two children are being covered when they were young, but not now. That's it.
Okay, sir. I remember the first time I went on a skateboard when you were staying in Maniksha Marg in the early 80s. That time Prashant took me he had a skateboard. You had got him a skateboard on his birthday or something.
Yeah, I got a
And,
home abroad. Yeah,
sir,
I know.
sir.
Oh, I remember that board.
And
We
that's
were
when
very.
Prashant took you on a skateboard. So I remember that very clearly, sir. Sir. Sir, so I have very, very fond memories for you, and the whole nation is indeed grateful to you for the work that you have done. So everyone's very grateful to you. The entire armed force is grateful to you, and everyone they truly love. As you mentioned, the brand, the name sells. Sir, Arul Raj is the biggest brand that I personally perceive myself in the work of art. So I sincerely thank you very much for your time, sir. And jate sir, any last message you would like to give out to budding artists, sir?
Well, I think there are a few artists I know in the army who try, budding young artists. So I'm very sure. I wish them all the best. And it's or you always tell artists whoever is drawing, do original work, don't copy. It's very difficult. Original work is not always very good either. But a copy, you can copy a ditto picture, like doing a photostat or something. But the fact is, you should do original, and that's how you learn, all the mistakes. I can tell you, my paintings have a lot of mistakes. I know. Probably you won't know, but I know where the mistakes are. So do original work, and it's a great hobby. If if you make money out of it, nothing like it.
Sir. Sir, thank you very much, sir. I really enjoyed the conversation with you, sir. Jai Hind, sir.
Then Ali.